My name is Doreen McVeigh. I'm a class of 2009, and I am a Sweetbriar woman.
So, can you give us a brief description of what you studied at Sweetbriar, your major, your interests?
Yeah, so I majored in biology, and I had a minor in chemistry. But outside of that, so outside of Guyan, I was really interested in theater and dance, as well as horseback riding here on campus. Those were my favorite activities.
Do you think that the Sweetbriar degree, as well as like your other interests, help you in your field today?
Yes, absolutely. Not only does a liberal arts education help you, just because you walk away with such a solid foundation, but equally when you are around women who are doing so many interesting things, whether or not it's engineering, if it's any cancer research, things like that. It's not a surprise to see women doing that or to have women in leadership roles around campus. So I think being in that environment and then stepping out of Sweetbriar, and in my field it is a male-dominated field, I still feel very comfortable in assuming leadership roles and really pushing myself out there and being an active participant at discussions. And I think that a large part of that comes from being in these roles here at Sweetbriar, and it's not out of the ordinary to have women in those roles here. But outside, I think a lot of people are surprised by that. So that was an unexpected result from attending a women's college that I hadn't anticipated until I left.
Did you not plan on coming to a women's college?
No. I did not plan on it at all. I was in Chicago at the time, and my dad was in UVA doing some work, and he got lost on 29. And first thing he discovered was Sweetbriar to ask for directions, and he called me up and he told me about the college, and I said, absolutely not, that's kind, but thank you, not interested. But they contacted me and they sent me information, and so I did apply, but I still was applying to other schools and anticipating that I would attend those colleges. But when I came to campus for an accepted students weekend, that sealed the deal. It was actually the last college that I visited. I went to all the other accepted college weekends, and I was on the East Coast anyway, looking at these other schools, popped down to Sweetbriar, and then that was it. I was sold.
So you mentioned entering the workforce, and so could you give us like just a brief description of what you did at Sweetbriar? You know, any honors research, foreign abroad study you did?
Yeah. So after my first year, I was accepted into the Virginia program at Oxford. So I spent 6 weeks doing work on 17th century literature and history, which was very outside of my comfort zone and my research area. But the best thing about it was that it taught me how to form an argument and how to write a very detailed essay that not only was grounded in logic, but it was also my point of view, my take on something, and how to defend that, which has been huge as a research scientist, because that's essentially what we do. That's how we do our research. After Virginia program at Oxford, I spent the next summer, so my sophomore summer, here at Sweetbriar at the Summer Honors Program, and I was doing a bunch of work here on campus looking at a particular type of plant and the different physical factors and environmental factors that affected where it was growing on campus. And there's a few invasive plant species that we were trying to understand whether or not this particular invasive plant would overtake and overgrow those areas where this little plant was found. So that was sophomore year, and I presented at Marcus, actually. That was my first presentation, scientific presentation. And then I studied abroad for a semester, spring semester at St. Andrews in Scotland. Took a variety of science classes as well as art history and history as well, just because after VPO I realized that there is a lot to be gained from expanding my knowledge base and expanding into other disciplines. And then I had the opportunity to study at University College Dublin on some canine genetics, and that was had a really big influence on what I ended up doing outside of Sweetbriar after graduation. So it was a wonderful chance and so many opportunities to participate in not only extracurriculars but different academic programs that initially I would not have walked in the door thinking I would need or would benefit me, and they ended up shaping not only my sweep bar career, but my subsequent graduate career. So very important to take advantage of all the opportunities presented to you, regardless of major. Very important.
So you've mentioned these opportunities and everything you kind of grasped while you were here. Can we revert back to when you came in and what you wanted to do coming in and how you left and how that kind of your time at Sweet Briar kind of shaped, like you said, your ideas?
Yeah, so I came in wanting to practice medicine, and I had many conversations with Robin Davies actually during, I think, Acceptance Students Weekend, or I think I came back at another time, and we definitely had many conversations about that. But after my summer honors research experience, I realized that research really was my area of calling, and I started to focus more on pursuing research, but just trying everything that I could get my hands on, because I didn't know what particular area of research to focus on, and it wasn't until a bit later that I realized that marine science is definitely an area that I particularly enjoy. I had a chance to take a marine biology course here my senior year, and that was hugely influential. So I came in thinking MD, but left as thinking perhaps PhD, and that's where I am now. So
MD, marine biology.
That's right. Still doing the marine science.
Can you expand on your postgraduate work for us?
Yeah, so after Sweet Briar, I went up to Maryland and I did some master's work in the Chesapeake Bay, looking at a particular species of stingray called the cow-nosed ray. And they're really interesting. They make these migrations from the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic side of Florida in the late spring and early summer. And they migrate in mass, hundreds of thousands of them all at once, up into the Chesapeake Bay. And then they separate into smaller subgroups. And we want to understand what was going on with these subgroups at the genetic level, how distinct, or perhaps they had a lot of connectivity between them. There was just one big genetic pool, or perhaps we had little subgroups. And it turns out that there's a lot of genetic diversity between these subgroups, which was something that we had not expected, since they do come up in mass all together. But we believe that they must be coming back to the same locations year after year to give birth to their pups, and then they mate and they have a year gestation. So we think that's probably what's going on. It was really the first look into what these stingrays were doing into the Chesapeake Bay. And then after that, for my PhD, I went down to North Carolina, and now I look at deep sea organisms. So these are creatures like tube worms, snails, mussels, clams, and they all live in areas where there's a lot of hydrocarbons, so gas, oil, and when they release their larvae, which is equivalent to their early stage after fertilization, it's almost akin to a dandelion. When you pick a dandelion up and you blow the seeds, some of those seeds will fall right back down where you had picked up the flower, but some of them will be carried by the wind and they'll travel great distances. And that's essentially what we're looking at here with these deep sea larvae, is that we know they're in the water column for a certain amount of time, and we're wondering, do they stay? Is there a lot of local retention? Or do they come up into the water column where you have faster moving bodies of water and travel these great distances before finding a new place to settle? So it's a nice mixture of actual field work. We're down there observing these creatures, and computer modeling, where we can simulate the behavior, what we think these larvae may be doing, whether or not they're swimming vertically or swimming down to different depths. And then we can ground truth that with genetics. So it's a really nice way to approach this enormous question through multiple disciplines and to learn all three along.
So what did you do outside of class?
So outside class, I was really involved in dance and theater on campus. I also really enjoyed riding, so I participate in the fun shows and do some of the trails and things like that with the horses. But yeah, dance was a really big part of my time here at Sweet Briar. So the fall dance concerts. I also did some extra work teaching kids Irish dance. So I'm an Irish dancer, and there was an after-school program that Mark and Ella ran, and it may still be running, but it was a chance to teach the kids in the area as an after-school program some dance that I think they really enjoyed. So that was a lot of fun. So dance was really important for me, and I also did yoga with Mark as well. And theater
with Dr. Kirshner and Cheryl is always very memorable and one of the highlights. I did my freshman year as Macbeth. I was one of the witches, and everything from Arcadia to the musical Little Night Music, all kinds of different plays and comedies and musicals and things like that that were just so much fun and a really nice break from my academic work, but at the same time still really helpful. So, you know, theater in particular, having that confidence and that stage presence, whether or not you were delivering a line from Shakespeare, if you're delivering the results of your graduate work, I think it was fun, but equally has really helped after Sleeper. So one of my all-time favorite experiences was playing around in Babcock.
That's pretty great.
Yeah. So they were by far the best. But otherwise, then there's just hiking around the campus, especially going out to the barn, things like that, were wonderful ways to step outside of the lab and just enjoy.
Did you do anything with the outdoor program?
I did. I'm trying to remember. I think there used to be scuba diving here. So I did some scuba diving a lot my first year. And I can't remember, maybe part of my second year. And there were also some ski trips that were offered through the outdoor program. So I gave those a try. I've gotten a lot better at skiing than in the beginning. That was where I sort of learned. So a few of those. So definitely like the outdoorsy programs, wherever you could sort of squeeze some time in. But scuba was, we would do some stuff in the pool a good portion of the time, and there's a lake and a quarry not too far. So we used to do that.
We don't even do kayaking in the pool.
I didn't do kayaking.
Why aren't we
I wanted to be in the water. See, I was a budding brain scientist. Like, it was far more exciting to be in the water, looking at things at the bottom than being at the surface. So that was a really great way to keep up with the sport. And I still use it helping other students in our lab now in North Carolina with scuba diving work. So it's a great way to keep up with it, sort of recreation and work all at once.
So we're going to bring back the scuba diving program.
I hope you should. You totally should. You should hire me as your instructor.
Great.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was a really fun program. But person who organized it was a chemistry faculty member, and he moved to California. So, yeah.
That's probably why it's not here anymore.
Probably. Could be. But there might be some remnants of it actually at the pool. So I'm sure there are somewhere. But yeah, it was really fun. Yeah, I actually forgot about that. I did that.
Like everything else.
Yeah, right?